Okay, this is my last video on best sleeper house on Lake of the Woods. And like I said before, basically I'm just going over each house that I've been at, what they offer, what you can expect, and then let you decide what's the best for you and your crew and your expectations for that weekend. Now, today I'm focusing on Dale's on Lake of the Woods. Let's go over the basics real quick. So they offer the generator, that's part of the deal, that's not an extra thing. Then they do all the maintenance and the filling of gas and all that kind of stuff. The house, I believe, is 10 by 18, I think. The outhouse is outside. They do have a little hole on the bottom, so like some people might bring an extra propane tank and then have the heater inside with the hose going through that hole. We just bring a heater for the outhouse itself, unless it's going to be a reasonable weekend where you don't even need a heater. They have a plastic container that has their plastic bags, rubber bands. Just above the 5-gallon pail, there's little screws around the wood, and those bands hold the plastic bag in place. So they'll have extras of that and then extras of toilet paper, and they come by daily to refill that. They have a garbage can outside, and they have a bungee cord that holds down the lid. And one of the things and I've said this many times before, but one of the things I love about Dale and Connie is that they really focus on keeping that lake clean. They also have a 5-gallon pail for any kind of extra cooking water stuff that you don't want to be dumping just anything, grease or whatever it might be, on the ice. You put it in the 5-gallon pail, it freezes, they take it away, they replace the 5-gallon pail when that gets full. The outside of the house has kind of a winch that's connected to these skis, and it gets propped up on these skis, the access point being right in the middle of the house, so it's kind of teetering like that, but then they hook up the front to their vehicle, and then they drag all these things along with them. That whole system, the winch system, when they drop that down, the bottom of the house, the base of the house, is about a 3-inch steel tubing. So it's it's rectangle tubing, 3 inches, and that sits right on the ice. So what happens is you don't have to crane your neck, looking way down these holes that are a foot or 2 feet. Some of these that you can't see your bobber unless you're really leaning over. Sometimes I set up like mirrors and different things like that, but at Dale's, it's very rare you can't see your bobber because it's right there. You're right on the ice. So throughout the weekend, things will melt, and you'll have a layer of water underneath some of the house. And so, you might drop a fish or something, and it'll go underneath the house. Most of the time they find their way back out. But to get a fish out, it's just so much easier. You're not stepping down into something or reaching way down to try to pull that fish out. It's right there. It's easy to reach down and grab that thing, or just hoist it out. So that is something that's incredibly unique, and I have to point that out. Let's go inside the house. Okay, so first of all, it's like we said, it's a 10 by 18, all right? So I tried to kind of set up a little area here where I'm gonna kind of go over this, but right now let's just kind of walk around, and I'll use some of my past pictures. So the bunks are on the wall, and the bunks then fold down at night, okay? Now, they're not difficult to get back up, and a lot of times if you have pretty light either blankets or sleeping bag, even if you set up something to fish underneath at night, if you set up a rattle reel or something like that and it went off, it's not terribly cumbersome to get out and lift up and clip in place to be able to get that fish out. Now, I will say that if you're someone that just loves to do rattle reels all night long, and that's kind of the reason that you go up, it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult for you. That's not the case with me. It's never really been something that has gotten in the way. Every once in a while I throw down a rattle reel, but even when I'm in a house that has the option for rattle reels, I tend to just be done. I'm ready to go to sleep. So it's not as big a deal for me, but I will put that out there. Okay, so back in the house, we got the bunk that folds down, it lifts up, and then you've got 2 holes underneath the bunk, right? And then above that bunk, there's a ledge, and this ledge goes all the way across the house, and that's where you can store all your stuff. So now, one of the things I just love about Dale's is all their houses are the same, so I know what to expect every single time I go there. Underneath that ledge is 4 rod holders, okay? So I know at Dale's, no matter what house I get, I'm going to be able to have 4 rods in the rod holders, and then more rods down below if I so choose, which I usually do. I know I say this each time I talk about it, but I can't tell you how nice it is to have all of your gear right in one section and have the floor completely clean. So, so many of these places just don't have a lot of great storage. You're bringing things in and out, and you've got stuff underneath you or all around you, or people are walking right over your rods, to get through. At Dale's, each person has their own section and like I said, every time you go there, you know exactly the amount of space you're going to get. You're going to get about 4.5 feet from the wall, and then you're going to have almost like 7 feet from the wall towards the middle where either the heater or the table is, and that's your spot. And then above it, you've got your rod holders and then the ledge to store stuff. So let's go over to the kitchen. You're going to have that apartment style stove and oven and stove, and that oven, we've been able to bring your basic like baking pan, maybe not a full huge lasagna pan, but a kind of a normal 9x13, I suppose is what they are. And those are going to fit just fine. It easily fits a frozen pizza. The 4 burners on top, you got a lot of cooking space. Now they always will have a couple frying pans, one regular size and one smaller, and then a couple pots, one a little bit bigger and one kind of medium size. Now I will say that they don't have a huge pot, so if that's something like if you're you're going to make a really big dish of something, you might want to bring that kind of pot if you want something really big. But it's just every time you go there, and I'll put a picture up right now, you're going to get those pots and pans. You're going to have every single utensil that you need. That you're going to have hot and cold cups if you want to use those. If the disposable ones, they've got plastic forks, knives, and spoons. They've got coffee. They've got a coffee maker. They've got paper towels, and they also have napkins. They're going to have salt and pepper there. They even have earplugs. This is how much these guys are constantly thinking about what is helpful for you on your stay. Now they're also going to have the dishwashing and just the general cleanup stuff that's always going to be there, and they're always going to have fresh stuff, to cleaning supplies. They're going to have towels to dry things and so on. So these things that I have mentioned, every time you go to Dale's, that's going to be there. Now today, the part that I think what I wanted to kind of talk about today was just exactly what I appreciate about having my own space that I know I can prepare for how I'm going to set that up each time that I go to Dale's. So I'm sitting in my spot here where I would normally be looking ahead. My bunk is right there, and of course right on the bunk is going to be that chalkboard, and where you can keep track of things. And along the bottom ledge of that chalkboard, the backside of that bunk bed is going to be about a 2-inch, it's the bottom half of a 2x4, and that is a great spot to just lay out all of the lures that I tend to go through over and over and over again. And so I really like to have that. And then on top, you got the full 2x4. It's a really easy place to be able to put a cup of coffee or whatever it is, pop, whatever it is that you're drinking. It's a great spot for that. Along the top of a couple of them, they're also going to have a measuring tape. Now I like to bring my own because I like to have the top part where you can nose up the fish and really get a super accurate measurement. But that is available, and it's really nice. So it's just all contained right in front of you, okay? And you everything that you need is right there. You really are able to plan for this and know exactly what to bring to kind of make your area the way that you want it. I'm going to walk you around my area real quick to just kind of talk about a few of the things that I do. All right, so I'm sitting in my chair right now. And that light's a little wonky. I'm sitting in my chair right now, and I just kind of show you like how I set up my space when I'm fishing. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my FL28, and I've got that on a little stand, but I've also have a little camera case underneath it, and that just lifts it up high enough where I'm not moving my neck hardly at all to keep my eye on that flasher. Now, below it is going to be my hole that's closest to the wall, and what I usually like to do with that one is I have 3 different jigging setups. And so, you know, if there's a jigging wrap, I usually don't tip that at all. But if I have a couple of those smaller jigs, little rattle jigs, whatever it might be, I'm going to tip that with a minnow head, and I will just have those sitting right on the ledge there off to the side of the hole, sitting in the water, and I'll be jigging with one. But if that is maybe getting something active, but they're not going after it, I might reel it up and then just drop down another one. Or if I get picked, I have the ability to just drop down another one that's already loaded up and try to get that fish that's active. With my jigging hole, I always go with the Vexilar, the FL28. That is just so precise when it comes to the speed and matching the speed of the fish as they're coming after the bait. So that's what I always go with. Now on this side is my dead stick, and I almost always have a Tom's Tackle defrost on that dead stick. And you know, with this hole, I do like to have a Helix 9 and a Helix 7. I'll have my hummingbird on this side, and the reason I do that is because that's the side that's inside towards the rest of the house. And that hummingbird has a little bit wider cone. So that wider cone sees a greater space, obviously. And so when I see a fish, I like it on the inside of the house because I can kind of tell people, like, hey, there's a fish in the area. I mean, I don't know if it's underneath me. If I don't see it on my Vexilar, then I know that it's not on this side of things. And that way everyone knows, hey, there might be something that's coming around. But I like those things on either side of the hole, and I like to keep the space in the middle clean. I used to put things in the middle just because of cameras and stuff, but right now I just kind of like it to have this clean. And that way I can sit a little bit closer to the wall. It gives a little bit more space behind me. Of course, you're back to back with the people you're fishing with. Along that bottom rail of the bed or back rail of the bed, I have a lot of times all my tackle. Along the floor between the holes, I'll put my tackle boxes. And then, of course, above here, you know, I'm going to have my rods hanging from the rod holders, and then on that ledge I'm going to have all my gear so that I can just stand up and get, you know, pulled things down if I need them. It's just all set up so nice, and like I said, I know exactly what to expect every time I go there, and that's a big deal for me. It's a really big deal. And my fishing spot, it is set up for people that want to fish. It's set up for people that want to fish all day long. It's so convenient. Everything is set up so nice. The last thing I want to say, and this is something I haven't said before, new information, I guess. For some of you that have been going to Dale's for years, you already know this. It's not going to be new. But for some of you that haven't gone up to Dale's, one of the things that I think about that really sets them apart is where they came from, where they're at, and what their goals are. So just to give you a little overview, the first time we went up to Dale's, I believe it was 2015, they were onshore renting space from the resort owner. And at that time, they were living in a fish house, just like the ones we're fishing in. They were living in a fish house on land the whole winter. The whole winter they'd come back, they'd use an outhouse just like we do, and that's where they stayed the whole winter long as they were starting this business. Now they moved up from that to being owners of the resort, to cleaning the whole thing up and making year-round camping, and with sewer and electricity. And now they're actually even building a harbor. Like everything that they do, they continue to put back into the resort, the fishing, and everything it always gets better. Each time you go there, it's like, oh, this looks like a new thing. And it's something that they're always just adding these small things that make your experience better. So I can't say enough about Dale and Connie, just quality people. They had a conscious decision that they did not want to go past a certain amount of houses where they didn't feel like they could be personally connected to their client base. So they're not, even though they might have people working for them, they're not rushing to try to get so big that they would have, 30 houses or whatever. They have a very manageable, I believe it's right around 10 houses that they know that they can come and check in on you twice a day, and you're seeing Dale, you're talking to Connie. It is Dale and Connie, and it is personal, and it's always been that way, and they're quality people, and I'm a loyal person. When I have great experience like that somewhere, I tend not to look other places. So that's me. That's why I put Dale's on Lake of the Woods at the top of my list. I hope this is helpful, that I've given you enough information about the places that I've been that you would be able to make a good choice on what's the best fit for you and your crew. So hopefully we'll be fishing soon, and stay tuned for more Sleeper House videos.